more of the gamers, the hardcore gamers that I've spoken with that's come in the store, they still want and thrive on physical media. Because once you buy it, you own it. I might not play it now, I might not play it in 5 years. Whenever I'm ready, I can go pull it off the shelf and play it. I don't have to hop on the game console one day and, oh man, they took that game down. But I've got Game Pass or PlayStation Network that I'm paying for. They don't give a crap. You don't own those, you're just renting them from us. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. So if anyone out of the audience takes anything out of this whole interview, do not buy digital. Buy physical, please. Please. Come down here, I'll give you a heck of a deal.
That's Josh Rook, full-time firefighter turned retro video game store owner. Josh Rook took his home reselling business and turned it into a physical location out of his hometown in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And his story is one that we're really curious about because, like many other resellers, there's this debate and question about what it looks like to take your home-based business and put it in a physical store. In this episode, we'll hear about what it takes to open a retro video game store like 8-Bit Legends, the ROI of having the right employees on your team, and we get a glimpse of the overhead it takes for him to keep his doors open every day. Now, a quick note to the audio-only listeners on this episode, there was an issue with my microphone, and while it hasn't happened since, this episode, I apologize for any pops or buzzes that you hear coming from my side of the discussion. Having said that, let's go to the interview. Josh, welcome to the Business RPG.
Hey Isaac, man, how's it going?
It's going good. I have been wanting to do this conversation for a while, so I am very thankful that you made time. I know you through some business dealings and also just a mastermind that we are both in, but I have a litany of questions, and the first one is, why was this what Josh wanted to do?
First gut reaction, don't do it. I'll delve into that. I won't leave you hanging on that one. So, full-time job, I'm a fireman. I've been doing that for 17 years. I've got a family, like I said. I'm tired of being away from them. I've had a few close calls. It's not what I want to do anymore. There's other ways of doing it, and reselling started out as an avenue to get out of that, and things just slowly progressed, which we can get into later. But opportunity came up where I could open up a store, brick-and-mortar, and I just went with that. And like I said, I'm still doing the firefighting gig and the store at the same time. Life's crazy right now. It's a lot of fun. We'll leave it at that. But that's just the wrap-up of it. I'm ready for the next chapter in my life. And the opportunity and potential for doing a game store is just, it's as high as you want to take it. Sky's the limit. I'm no stranger to putting in work, so that comes easy to me. Every day I go into the store, it's stress-free. Nobody's on fire, nobody's dying, so it's completely different. And sorry, my sense of humor might be a little dark on that. So it's
We'll allow it.
It's relaxing. There you go.
Well, take me through, you said opportunity. Take me through that, because reselling online, just in my mind as a business model, seems to be the way to go. You don't have to worry about rent. You don't have to worry about overhead. You can keep it in your home or what facility is immediately there with you, and you can scale up or scale down without a whole lot of consequence to any other asset pertaining to the business. What makes this an opportunity? What makes this something that you think is the vehicle for the next chapter in your life?
Good question. So the best way I can break it down is reselling, like most of us have done. It all revolves around you getting the inventory by any means that you can go out to get it. So whether that's thrift stores, whether that's going online through an arbitrage program, that whatever you come up with, a lot of people do eBay to Amazon, that type of deal. That was going great. Could I have stayed and went full time doing just that out of my basement? Yes. I needed more. When I say more, the way I'm wired, if I just stayed at home to work, I don't think I'd get anything done. I have to have somewhere to go where I know, okay, I'm here. This is what I'm doing from this time frame to this time frame. That was the first thing. So how would I do that? My own brick and mortar store. I think in the back of my mind, I've always wanted to have some type of business of my own. Man, I've done all kinds of odd and end side jobs throughout the years. I had a gunsmithing business on the side for a few years. That's one of the great things about where I'm at being a fireman. We've got so much time off that we can do other things. So that's what led into this. So the prospect of starting another business really didn't scare me that much because I'd kind of already been down that road. So getting back with the why not stay with just online. Everything was going great. We can get in numbers of that later. Probably started in, I would say, 2020, maybe 21, somewhere in there. I can't remember exactly. But the main thing that I wanted to be able to do for sourcing was have stuff come to me. I know there's a lot of big resellers online, like Chase After the Right Price. He talks about different tiers of reselling, and one of his is where you have collections come to you. Kind of the same, but kind of different because he doesn't have a brick and mortar. He just got a heavy online presence, and with the YouTube, he's got websites out there that people just reach him through that and then go through. So it's kind of the same thing. He's reaching obviously a wider audience than I am, but this is just the start for me. So that's kind of where I was at. So the able to get out of the fire department, have somewhere specifically to go with a structured schedule to keep doing that, and then have inventory come to me, as well as me still sourcing online in the same avenues that I had before.
That makes sense. And I can relate to the need to scale because that's kind of where we're at with our business model. And the audience knows my wife and I, reselling is one of our verticals as a business, one of the ways that we generate income, but we don't at all profess to do it with the full-time scale that you do, that Chase does, that a lot of these YouTubers do. But at the same time, having an audience, having a presence where there's something coming in sure does save you a lot of hours in the long run.
Absolutely.
You've been doing the business full-time now? You're full-time right now? Is that correct with the game store?
I'm full-time, part-time. So I'm there every
Full-time,
day
part-time.
that I'm not at the fire department. So I'm technically not full-time because that's not the only means of income that we have.
You're treating it like a full-time job.
Yes, I mean it is. I've got 2 full-time jobs. That's we'll call it what it is.
Gotcha. Having this vertical set up, are you already seeing the results of the inventory coming in to justify the work that you've done, or is this something that you're still working towards?
Yes. So the area that I'm in, we don't have any privately owned game stores. We just have GameStop and Game Exchange. I think Game Exchange may be a local southern chain. I'm not sure if it's up north or not, but that's the only 2 options we have here. And everybody knows how on the fence GameStop is. Are they out of business? Are they going out of business? What is it this week? So that was one of the other reasons is I saw a need here, and somebody had to fill it. So why not me?
Right on. So take us through what the day in the life of owning a game store looks like.
Mass chaos. No.
It's an honest answer.
So I'm trying not to give the same reaction that you see a lot of game store owners give on YouTube when they get interviewed. So it started out with just me and my wife. And then we would only be open, I'm trying to think of our original hours. It was Tuesday through Saturday, or it may have been in Wednesday through Saturday, but it was the days that I was off from the fire department. So right now I work a 24 on, 48 off schedule with the fire department. So every 3rd day I'm at the fire station. So the game store would revolve around that when we would be open. That was doing okay. I was matching, I'm trying to remember how many months we did that. Probably 3 months we did that with just the 2 of us, mainly me. We were matching what we were doing online with sales. and then still getting in inventory that we wouldn't otherwise. I would say definitely more higher end inventory than we would just sourcing the way that we were before. Just again, word of mouth, spreading around, advertising. People know we're there, coming in, bringing stuff in. And then probably 3 months into it, we hired our first employee, and that quickly began to pay off massively. That allowed us to open up more days. We were open Tuesday through Saturday, regardless if I was at the station or not. He was able to run the store while I was at the station, which is a blessing 10 times over. He has been awesome. Probably 2 months after that, right when we went to the first employee, I would say sales at least doubled. Obviously, we're open more, so that's a lot of that. But I know we were starting to get a lot of people that would come by when we were closed. People wouldn't understand our schedule. They would come by when we were closed. They'd get mad. I get it. Not everybody understands my schedule. So that was a definite need to get someone in there to be open more days a week. So that, again, that paid off tenfold. Probably 2 months after that, we hired our second employee, and it just continued to grow. So every month from, I would say, March of last year to June was just a straight rocket trajectory, which was, I'm so blessed for that, so thankful. The second employee did awesome. Both guys are great. They run the store while I'm gone. I have no worry with them. They're probably even more frugal than I am when it comes into trade credits and things like that. So on the business side, very great, very great. But they're very knowledgeable in different aspects than I am. So I think we've got a great blend right now of that. It's been a slow, steady process, which was fine. I would say getting the employees was the biggest jump that helped us smooth things out. Like I said in the opening response, chaos. Trying to do all this by myself, especially on a Saturday, was just insane. Just dealing with the normal customers was one thing, but then you'd have someone bring in a decent sized collection. Well, now I've got to process all that while still dealing with customers and try to do all that the fastest that I can. So that was, in my opinion, that was the biggest hindrance if you want to go that route. Just because it was taking time on the customer side that I didn't want to take their time away from.
You mentioned something in there that I'm just now realizing is a new factor for your business model versus the online business model. You know, getting a collection and figuring out exactly how much you can afford to pay someone is something that it's a challenge to figure out. But after you get a formula in place, it's something you can do relatively quickly and efficiently. You have inventory. You have store credit. What has that done to the whole equation for you?
The store credit adds a completely game-changing factor to the taking in inventory. We'll still say that's called sourcing. We'll still go that avenue with it. Okay. So before, as just an online reseller, that option is not available to you. Well, I'll take that back. You could make trades with people. That does happen. A lot of people will try to take brand new consoles and trade those for older game systems and try to double the value. So that's not really out of the realm, but it's not as more convenient as the store credit is. So it's kind of the same, but a little different. But back to my point, it's been massive because I essentially have very little cost into this inventory that's going out that they're wanting, and then very little cost in what they're bringing in through the store credit. Typically store credit, that's one thing I try to pride myself on, is being at least double the store credit what GameStop and Game Exchange do. Typically, just a base value, they're around 15 to 20%. Some is more, some is less. I may be a little off on that, but that's typically where it is in our area. I try to be around 60% on the good stuff, and I'll step into that for a little bit. That's where we had a little bit of a downfall when we started, was trying to figure out the store credit, the trade credit, cash value when we first opened. But I try to be as reasonable as I can because I know everybody gets mad when they go into GameStop. Shortly after we opened, we had someone bring a Xbox Series X to us. They said they went to GameStop and they offered them $81.
Wow.
To buy it from them. Yeah, because I'm trying to think of what they were saying. They were saying that it had some scuffs on it and that it was going to have to go to their refurbishment company. Yeah, to get all that lined out. That's bull crap, man. That is just horrible. It's nothing that spraying some goof off on a rag and wiping the console down wouldn't have fixed. But that's what you deal with when you've got a chain store. The employee, don't blame the employees. It's not their fault. They're just dealing with what the cards they were dealt. It sucks, I know, but that goes back to me wanting to open another option. So going full 80, let's go back to the store credit. So when we started, we were paying, I think, 60% for everything. In turn, that sounds great. Yeah, man, we're giving people a great deal. And I'm giving you some of the business side of it now instead of just the customer side. So starting off, yeah, it sounded like a great deal. Loved it. Everybody was getting great deals. And then it kind of dawned on us one day, we're paying 60% for a $5 game that's going to sit here and never sell. Like, this is bad. Luckily, we caught on to this quick, started figuring things out. I'm in a group with a bunch of other game store owners and got in with them. And I kind of threw myself out there. I said, I know I'm putting my head on the chopping block, but I'm doing 60% across the board store credit trade-in. What am I doing wrong, guys? And they're like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot for doing 60% for everything. Like, you can't run a business with that. If I got a gnat in here. But so we reevaluated everything. And I don't know exactly we've got a formula. We've got a spreadsheet that we enter everything in. So if games are $5 and under, we enter that into this bracket, and it gives a certain percentage. And it's less. It's probably less than $1. Now that sounds like you're only giving $1 for a $5 game. Oh, okay, let's think. What's a $5 game? Your Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, all of your Call of Duties that haven't been in the last 2 years. Yeah, how many of those do you see on a game store shelf? 5, 10. Okay, now you're starting to see, why we have to cap it at something. So we've got certain brackets. I think up to $25, 25 and over. I think we start doing 40 or 45% of value, and then 30 to 50 or 30 above, maybe 35 above. Sorry, I can't remember exactly what the bracket is. It's been a while since we've messed with it. But we start giving higher and higher percents. We go up to 60%. Stuff on the 60%, Pokemon stuff, across the board, that's going to be your 60%, if not maybe a little bit more. Stuff that's going to move fast. That's the name of the game in the retail side of the brick and mortar. I've got to have it moving fast. Probably more so than just doing online sales because of all the overhead. I've got to have that money moving fast. I know Chase from Chase After the Right Price likes talking about moving at the speed of cash. Well, that's no different in this. It's no good to me if I don't have the money from it moving back in. So that's kind of where we're at. So the trade store credit goes up to 60%, and then I would say cash value is probably 20% lower than that, just in a ballpark. A lot of factors goes into what the cash value is. It's got to have, it's kind of the same as the store credit. Condition is number one. That's another thing where it helps us out as opposed to game exchange. And like I said, now I'm speaking more directly on the business side of it. So game exchange, they have to take in whatever you bring them. They cannot refuse a trade-in, from what I understand. I've talked with several employees from there. So roach-infested consoles, nasty-looking consoles, they have to take them in, from what I'm understanding. Where me, no, get it out of my store. Don't even bring that in here, because it's going to lead to an infestation that I do not want and nobody else wants. So that's helped us out a little bit. But man, it's still a evolving game, trying to figure out where the sweet spot is to still be extremely fair to the customer and give them the best deal that we can business wise. and still not be hurting us and allowing us to keep continuing to grow. So it's still evolving. I think we're on a pretty good set pace of where we're at right now. I'm happy with that, but there's always room for improvement.
Let's talk about the other side of the equation, the back end, the side that the customer doesn't see when they buy something or sell something. The overhead, the management, rent. What exactly goes into, I say the word equation, and maybe I say that too much because I don't want it to lose its meaning or its value, but the formula for staying in business. Like, what is it that Josh has to actually perform metrically in order to open his doors next month?
So let's start with a little bit of process, since we're on the topic of trade-ins, sourcing, people bringing in inventory. We'll start with that. So someone brings in a trade, let's say it's a console and a few games. We have to test those. I have to have someone to test them, or I have to test them. So that takes up time. Time is money. If I'm doing it, obviously I'm not paying myself right now, but I have to pay my employees. So if they're doing it, that takes away from something else they could be doing, whether that's processing other games to get those out or working on something else. So that takes time away from some other project that might be higher on the priority list, where now they're having to process this trade inventory. So they're going to have to test it. If everything's great, works good, good to go, we set that to the side. Now we start adding in all the factors of value, looking all that up. So there's the second step, getting the value for the customer. We get the value, present them with the trade offer. If they're good with it, great, we'll take it. If they want to do cash, we'll pay them out cash. If they want to do store credit, we'll figure that out and let them have that. We actually have some little gift cards that we use that have a QR code on the back, and it's reloadable. That has been awesome. I can get into that later, but people love that because it's reloadable. It's not a one-time deal. So if there's something you don't want to buy today, take it with you. Bring back more stuff, and we can add it to it and just keep going. But back to the process. So after we deal with the customer, get everything done, the deal's done, now we have to go through cleaning. Again, we're not going to take in just nasty stuff. One, I don't want that in the store. Two, that's going to take twice as long, if not 3 times as long, to clean. So there's that. That's something else that's taking time away from one of the employees doing something else, is cleaning the consoles. Secondly, the games. We try our best to clean every game case, not just the game that comes in the store, because that's one of my pet peeves and gripes is going into a game store, looking through the games, pulling a game off the shelf, and as soon as I grab it, it's got a nasty, grimy feel to it. Drives me nuts. You would think going into a game store and seeing all those games, you get overwhelmed. I'm like, oh man, there's no way we can clean all these. Do it when you get them in. It's not that bad when you're getting 10 games in or even 50 games in. It takes a little bit longer, but it's kind of like eating an elephant. How do you do it? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
Yeah, we do that. We clean the game cases. If they're busted up and real bad, we'll replace them. And then secondly, if it's disc-based games, we've got a great resurfacer. We've got an Elm USA Auto Smart. The thing is phenomenal. So we'll pop them in there, 3 to 4, maybe 5 minutes. Game will be out and be brand new. That thing, I can't speak. That's I'm gonna say that's my third employee. I love that thing. So that basically wraps up most of the process of taking it in, and then we'll have to again reprice everything to get it back out on the shelf. So that's basically that part of it. The numbers wise, we probably at operating cost are around, I would say, $5,000 to $6,000 a month is operating cost. So we can delve into stuff later on breaking stuff down a little more, but that's in a nutshell about where we're at right now. Our store is 1,500 square feet. We have 1,000 square feet floor space and 500 square feet of a back room. So for right now, that's about the sweet spot. I would love to expand, not right now. There's other things I'd like to get into to expand different genres to carry in the game store, but not right now. Like I said, the way I'm wired, I'm always push, and my wife has to back me off a little bit. She's like, "Now wait, you got to look at what y'all have done. We've only been open 9 months. You're thinking we've been open 5 years and we've got to be doing this and this and this." I'm like, I know. So I have a hard time taking a step back and appreciating or taking notice of how far we've grown in those 9 months, which I know that can be a bad thing, but like I said, I'm driven to just keep building and building and building, and then maybe after a year or 2 years, I can take a step back in my mind and look and think, okay, that's great. That's where we got. I love it. So, but that's kind of where we're at right now, man. That's
so much more achievable than what I initially thought you were going to say. I don't have a huge point of reference because there are some people who are very transparent with their budget, their business model, and whatnot on YouTube or on I guess probably Reddit, and you can find some numbers. But so much of the content that I consume comes from these really high cost of living areas, whereas the Ozarks compared to California, compared to New York,
exactly,
it's night and day difference. So that's actually really, really encouraging.
And now let me reiterate right there. When I say operating, that's not a price of taking in new inventory. That's keeping the doors open. That's paying employees, paying the electric bill, paying the water bill. That's the main things. That's not inventory. So that's the hard numbers of keeping everything open in the doors, should I say.
Gotcha. How like on the inventory side, speak to that. What kind of revolving cash flow is it that you kind of try to work towards versus how much you actually have coming in?
Right. That's something I'm really trying to nail down. I don't have an exact answer for you right now. That's something I've been trying to do a lot better with. Like I said, everything has been a blur to this point. It's just go, go, go. And I haven't had a good chance to sit down and iron everything out to improve on that area. But, man, that changes month to month. These last 2 months, July and August, have been extremely slow. And again, I'm comparing it to the first 7 months we had, or 4 month stretch in there that we had, that everything was just skyrocketing. So it's slowed down from there. This last week has started picking back up on that pace that it was before. So I'm glad to see that. But it changes month to month. As far as trade-in, just taking in inventory, not buying new inventory from distributors, I would say we're probably $3,000 to $5,000 a month, and that's a ballpark number. Like I said, I don't have a good solid answer for you on that one right now. That's something we're in the process of narrowing down and finding what areas we can improve in on that to really hone that in. And then buying new inventory, which that's a whole nother animal. I don't want to get off the rails too much, but a lot of other game store owners, they will not buy new inventory from distributors. So they won't carry new games. They won't carry new consoles, strictly because the profit margins are almost non-existent. So perfect example, PlayStation 5, brand new, I might make $15, $18 on. And that's it.
Are you serious?
That is it. So, yeah. So I'm almost having to spend just as much as it is retail to get it in the store. And then I've got that money tied up only to make about $18 on.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So, in a sense, I understand what those other game store owners, I understand their stance. The other example, games, we might make $5 on. After taxes and everything's figured, it might be $5. Some we have a better margin. Some distributors are better than other ones, and they'll have a little bit more room. I would say $10 on a game is out of the question from what I've seen so far. So it's more around the $5 range profit on a brand new game that we're getting from distributors. So it's hard. And then you have to factor in, talking about another thing of running brick and mortars, it's different than online. Okay, Perfect example, the new college football game that came out. I ordered, I think, 8 copies for PS5 and probably 4 copies for Xbox. Thought, this thing's going to be a home run. Everybody's anticipating it. It's going to fly off the shelf. We'll have to order more the same day. Nope. We had 2 copies pre-ordered, me and one of the other employees, and then there was another guy that pre-ordered a copy for Xbox. But so the other factor, what I'm getting at is with that, is EA did an online thing where if you buy it digitally, which don't get me started on that, I absolutely hate all digital. But if you buy it digitally 3 days earlier, for $100 you could get the game 3 days earlier. So you're going to pay $30, almost half the price of the game, just to play it 3 days earlier. And again, wow. I mean, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of the physical media to digital media rabbit hole, but I don't know. So that baffles me. So when I think the reports were around 2.2 or 3 million people got taken advantage of. That's how I'm going to say it, of that deal and bought that. And that's just, so that's hurting your game stores. That's why you're seeing, and I'm not kind of going off the rails a little more. That's why you're seeing a decline in game stores nowadays. It's the all digital. I hate it. We can save that conversation for later. I know that's kind of veering off, but going back to the inventory side. So yeah, consoles we might make $15 to $18. New games we might make around $5. So I try to keep that as low as possible with still meeting the demand, because in my eyes the new products bring people into the store. Somebody's wanting a PS5. Well, we don't have one. Well, where can I get one? Well, you'll have to go somewhere that sells new ones. Well, guess what? We've got new ones. So to my eyes, that's worth it, because if you buy the PS5 or any console that's new, what's the next thing you're going to need? Well, you're going to need games. Well, guess what? I've got a wall full of used games over there. Okay, now we're going to start making some money. So to me, it goes hand in hand. It's I hate the saying, but the cost of doing business. That's where it falls for me.
The future of the industry, talking about gaming stores starting to go down. GameStop, for whatever reason, is still around. And partly I attribute that to the fact that they have one of the funniest social media platforms. Like if you follow their Facebook, it's pretty funny stuff. It comes second to Wendy's. Yeah. No one's ever going to beat Wendy's and their Twitter. But GameStop is still here. I see fewer and fewer game exchanges in the South where I live, and whenever I'm going on road trips, I see fewer and fewer mom and pop game stores. What's going on?
Great question. Like what I was speaking on earlier, the digital media is just, I'll come flat out and say it's killing the gaming industry. I'll say this, then I'll come back and reiterate about the store side. It's going to come to a point where you will just buy a Fire Stick thumb drive, put it in a TV, and you'll get a controller. That's the route we're going to be at. When is that going to happen? I don't know. But in my opinion, the way things are going, if people don't start supporting local game stores more and buying physical media opposed to the digital, that's where we're headed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It seems like every financial report that Microsoft puts out, they lose money on almost every console they come out with. And they flat out said they don't want to make any more consoles. They say they're making a new one after the Xbox, the Series X again. I don't think they will. I think this will be the last one. I could be wrong. I hope I am, for the sake of we need physical media. On that note, also, Walmart has come out, Target has come out, Best Buy has come out and said that they're going to stop carrying physical media at the end of 2024. You go into a Walmart now, it's bare bones compared to what it used to be. It's just, I think it reiterates going back to the way society changes. There's only so much of that we can control. So now to touch back on why GameStop is still around. If you look into the reports of GameStop, they are hanging on by a thread. Why they're still open, I have no idea. Well, I do have an idea, but I can't remember what it's called. You may know, but the Wall Street stock market stuff that happened a few years ago with GameStop.
Oh,
that saved their butts. That saved them. They were going out. That is the only thing that's kept them around this long. They're still going to be out. Seems like just a few months ago I read a report where they were closing 500 stores this year. They're continuously closing stores. You go into one now and it's probably 60% merchandise opposed to games. It's kind of sad, but then again, the way that they do things, the way that they ran their business, it makes sense. I mean, it goes back to me being able to offer, I'm taking in the same product that they are, yet I can offer you more than they are. Okay, well, what's the difference then? Why? What's the deal? I mean, if I'm still making money and still able to keep my doors open, they should be doing the same thing. People are getting tired of that. That's the other side of the coin, is people are getting tired of it. They get ripped off. They're looking for the mom and pops, in my opinion. And that's one thing that's really hurting them. They've kind of caught on to the retro game stores or privately owned game stores. I'm going to categorize retro and privately owned together, because it's, if you've got one, you've got it all. So now they are opening their own physical retro game stores that they've just started, I think maybe this month or maybe it was last month. But they're trying to, one last ditch effort to get into the retro game. They've tried this, it's been a few years ago, and it crashed and burned. It didn't work for them. And it's going to do the same thing, because they're going to offer you next to nothing for stuff, and then you're going to see it priced way up higher. You're like, why am I even bringing it here? So I have no doubt it's going to be the same thing. So now let's flip the coin and go to the mom and pop or the privately owned stores. I think as we move forward into new generations of consoles, it's inevitable. All digital, is going to be, it's going to be the thing, as bad as I hate to say it. But in that same token, retro game stores are going to thrive, I believe. And one of my main reasons is the Xbox 360 servers. They just shut those down. What happened to the prices of the Xbox 360 games? They started to skyrocket. Well, if you didn't have that downloaded before, you can't download it now. How are you going to get it? You've got to go to a game store. So, I mean, it goes back to the day one of business, supply and demand. If I've got it and you need it, it's going to sell. So now there is stores, that'll take advantage of that and triple the price of stuff. That's bull crap. I'm going to tell you that right now. Like I said, if you're doing your business right, you can still make money, still continue to grow, and give your customers the fair deal that's great for them and great for you as the business too. But I see the mom and pop stores and the privately owned stores, I see them thriving when all this starts really shifting more towards digital. I do not carry all digital consoles in my store. I won't take them in on trade. I won't buy new ones to put on the shelf. One of our distributors doesn't even offer them. So I love that distributor for that. So it's kind of a weird change that I see, and I don't know if it's the general public that feels the same way, but I know more of the gamers, the hardcore gamers that I've spoken with that's come in the store, they still want and thrive on physical media, because once you buy it, you own it. I might not play it now. I might not play it in 5 years. Whenever I'm ready, I can go pull it off the shelf and play it. I don't have to hop on the game console one day and, oh man, they took that game down. But I've got Game Pass or PlayStation Network that I'm paying for. They don't give a crap. They're going to look through their list and say, we're going to get rid of these games today. Yeah, you won't be able to play those anymore. You don't own those. You're just renting them from us. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. So if anyone out of the audience takes anything out of this whole interview, do not buy digital. Buy physical, please. Please. Come down here. I'll give you a heck of a deal. But it's... whew, I'll step down off my soapbox for a little bit on that one. But I know I got off the rails a little bit on that one too, but I hope I answered your question.
Oh no, that was a great answer. You're making me regret selling you all those Xbox 360 games that I sold you last year, because I'm sitting here looking at the market and it's like, oops, that was my bad. You still gave me a great deal. I'm not going to complain.
Good. I'll try to.
What is the best or the craziest deal that you've seen come through your doors?
Man, that is a loaded question. I try to think of that on my own sometimes, and I go back to it's hard because it's all been a blur. Everything has happened so fast. I'm going from one job to the next, coming home, getting to spend a little time with the family, going to sleep, right back up to the next thing. So it's hard to try to step back and take a moment to realize what's going on, like I said before. Just off of the top of my head, we've had a virtual boy come in with some games, Sega Nomad, Sega CDX. Now, as far as rare games, probably it's the Zelda, or it may have been a Link game that was on the 3DO. I think it was Faces of Evil. That was probably one of the most rare games we've had. Right off the top of my head, nothing just real crazy. It's just rare things that it goes back, or a lot of that goes back to what area you're in. If you're on the West Coast, especially Northwest Coast, up in Seattle, around that area, you're going to see this stuff all day long. Down here in Arkansas, where we're at, it goes back to what we're talking about, richer areas and more lower class areas. That stuff was just never here. And if it was very, very rare. So the chances of that coming in is even less. So I attribute that to one of the reasons. Flip side of that, I know Retro Rick, he's about 2 hours away from me. He sees a lot more of the rare stuff. Now, I've talked with Rick. I've become pretty good friends with Rick through the years. He's helped me a ton. But a lot of that even he'll attribute to his YouTube presence. A lot of people come into his store just because of YouTube. They'll travel just to see the store. He's made it exactly what he's wanted to with a travel destination. And hats off to him, man. He does a great job down there. Love that store. Rick's an awesome guy. Behind the scenes, he is, like I said, he's helped me a ton. I can't speak highly enough of him. On that same note, I don't want to leave Chase out from Chase After the Wrath Price. Yeah, I've been in his Discord from pretty much the start, and man, the time he's put in to help me when just I would ask just simple questions and stuff that you'd be like, man, that's stupid. Why are you asking me that? Never got that from either Rick or Chase. It's just, yeah, it's this, you do that, you do that. So I've been very blessed in that aspect of a great community that I've been blessed to be around, and other resellers and store owners now that have helped me out a ton. But I can't even remember what the question was. I keep getting off the subject a little bit, but
no, you're good, man. And shout out to Chase. He's been on the show before, and after that was when I joined his Discord. I just realized how much more, even as a hobbyist at the time, or part-time, or whatever you want to classify me as, just how much growth there is still for our business just by changing a few things. It doesn't even mean that we have to increase a ton amount of time that we put into it. It just massive return on investment. Massive return
Absolutely.
on investment. One question at the close of the show I like to ask each guest is pertaining to goals. You know, what is your goal in the next 12 months or so when it comes to your store?
That one is the easy one, the first one. So my goal is to get out of the fire department, do the store full time. So that one's concrete, 100% easy answer. Getting a little bit deeper. Man, I am having to go deep on this one. So I would like to expand the store. Like I said, right now we're about 1,500 square feet. I would like to take another suite beside us that would bump us up to 3,000 square feet. Right now we carry video games from Atari up. Trying to think of some other things we carry. We do some vintage toys. We've just started carrying new Lego. We carry plush. Pokemon cards. That's the next thing that we're fixing to get into. That's me personally. I know nothing about Pokemon cards. I've never liked it. I was older when that came out, so it was never my thing. So begrudgingly as I am against it, I'm having to get into Pokemon. But it'll be all right. It's just a business avenue that is needed again in our area that there's no other option for. So that's another thing that I'm gonna have to be getting into. We're actually starting that right now. But the main thing is just continuing to grow. I'd like to hire at least one more employee, get things going right now. Just this last month, we started opening up on Mondays also. So now we're open Monday through Saturday. I would like to be open on Sundays also and be open every day. But I go to church on Sundays. I get that. I don't want to be there on Sundays. So if I can't find the people that don't want to be there, I'm not going to make them be there. I know it can be very profitable, but I'm not going to force anybody to do that. So that's one of the things that's very close and dear to my heart, is being a Christian. It's trying to raise a family in that life. So I've got to lead by example. So I don't want to make someone else's family have to do that if they don't want to. But as far as other growth, steady growth, man. That's kind of how it's been. I think if you make massive jumps, it can kind of get you not really staying on path with things and doing things out of your set schedule that you've got, or not really your routine, but your plan. Let's go with that. That you're planning for. So steady growth. Maybe expand into another suite, getting a little bit bigger at some point, and just keep on living the dream. I know as cheesy as that sounds, I love it, man. I absolutely love it. Like I said, there's a smile on my face every time I go in there. Every day, I open the doors and look around. It's like, I own a game store. How great is it? This is crazy. Never would have thought it. 10-year-old me does backflips every time.
Right on.
But yep.
Well, let the audience know where they can find you and where they can get a hold of you.
Absolutely. So if you are around the Northeast Arkansas area, more specifically Jonesboro, Arkansas, we are 8-Bit Legends video games. For some that are a little further away, we're about an hour west of Memphis, Tennessee. And then more specifically, we don't have an actual online store that you can buy from just yet. We do have a website on Facebook. It's just under 8-Bit Legends video games. And then we are trying to grow our Instagram presence also. And it's, again, 8-Bit Legends. I can't remember how they do it. They have the underscore and all that. I don't know exactly what it is. If you go to our Facebook page, I think it's tied in with that. Worst case scenario, you can Google us. We're on Google. And I think that has both social media pages on there as well.
Good deal. And all those links will be down in the show notes too. Josh, this has been very educational. Thank you for being transparent and sharing with the audience. And this was a great conversation.
Absolutely. I've enjoyed it, Isaac. Man, I appreciate you having me on.
If you would like to follow Josh and his store 8-Bit Legends, I left links to their social media down in the show notes below. Be sure you give them a follow. And if you've gotten any value out of this interview, be sure that you give the channel a like, leave a comment, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes come out every other week, and until then, thank you for playing the Business RPG.